Hello, welcome to Regal in Real Life. How are you? Thank you for joining me today. Um, I've got a microphone. I'm holding it. I'm not going to hold it on myself because I'm not sure if the sound is picking up correctly. But today I wanted to just come to you and talk about authenticity, karma, kind of, how quickly the tables can turn in a situation. So, I found myself in a situation for the past 2 weeks in my work environment. I work in a corporate job, um, and I am a tokenized person within that job, being the only Black woman in my team and possibly one of three within my faculty, although we are never, ever really quite all three of us in on site at the same time. So often it can feel quite lonely and let's just say I can feel quite visible. So I've been recently going through this process of unmasking myself. I kind of came into this role and I thought, I am representation for the people that I'm working with. And that is a good thing. That is okay. It is okay to be different. It is okay to be unique. It is okay to style yourself differently, to wear your hair as you do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I really wanted to show our students that you could be in my position and still be all that you want to be, aesthetically express yourself how you want to express yourself. Something like as simple as braids, felt like a big deal to kind of step into um, in terms of unmasking. Now, we're not going to get into all of that today, but what we are going to speak about is how, in these types of scenarios, in these situations, in these contexts, the best thing you can do is be yourself. The best thing you can do is be honest. The best thing you can do is call out any BS whenever you see it. Okay. And I didn't always realize that. I was very fearful, right? I was very fearful of being the, protagonist, the angry Black woman, the woman who was always going to play the race card, right? And I didn't want to be that person. I wanted to go into work, genuinely wanted to go into work and enjoy work and just, get along with my colleagues, do my job, come home, not worry about certain things. However, if we're being honest, this exists. And in fact, racism is pretty much everywhere at this stage. People are becoming much more vocal. I don't even think that we can call it implicit subconscious bias at this point, okay? It is just what it is. And not many people want to acknowledge or admit that, specifically in predominantly white spaces. That's just never going to be something that you're going to suggest or express without it being problematic or seen as problematic. So I was very highly aware of that. But I also know that through my own lived experience and my lens as a Black woman, that some of the things that I was seeing and hearing were simply just what they were. Okay. So microaggressive comments towards certain, people within this role, students. So I work in academia, but yes, all types of things, just a inherent lack of belief when someone, for example, is having an attendance issue or concern. It's just quick to jump to the conclusion that someone is lying, that someone is being dishonest, that someone is untrustworthy, or a word that is very frequently used, slippery. Okay. So, things of that nature. Obviously we're marking students, we're grading them, we do moderation. So there is a moderation process. However, how stringent that process has been over the years, who knows? I just know that I've had an experience where I have come across several inequities, what I would call inequities, during my moderation process recently that really kind of, well, one, I was highly concerned about the situation because we have an awarding gap here in the United Kingdom, where essentially, white students consistently gain higher grades at the end of their degrees than Black students do. This is evidenced. This is across the United Kingdom, not just within the institution within which I work. But It's a huge problem over here in the UK, and I'm sure within any Western country. So, where for me, it's very obvious where this awarding gap comes from, how people are marked, how people are viewed, how people are seen, the support that they're given when compared with their, white counterpart students, is clearly, let's just say, it's not equitable. So it doesn't surprise me at all that there is an awarding gap. But I think the thing that is most frustrating is that um, colleagues are often unwilling to acknowledge the very clear and obvious truths that we may see within our roles every day, that they don't always see themselves. That's that subconscious level. But as a minoritized individual walking into that space, it's very, very clear to me. And I've, had other colleagues who may suggest similar. So I know I'm not alone in this thinking. And this is across different institutions, not just in the one that I am currently working in. Um, so again, just people that I may network with and speak to about these kinds of topics. Um, but I must say that I had a horrendous past 2 weeks dealing with my own experiences